Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or at least JPRPH1. Thank you for showing up. And hello also to Connie Cleary. Hail! I don't even know what other streams I'm interrupting, but I do know I want to be done by 8 o'clock Central, preferably 7:30 actually, because I want everyone to have a chance to watch the double feature, Last Call with Troy Pichellos. So today I decided what I would continue to talk a little bit about Tulsi Gabbard, kind of share a little bit more about her, why she interests me, besides the pictures of her bikinis, things like that. All right. For those who have not watched my previous very butchered live stream, Tulsi Gabbard is an American politician, United States Army Reserve officer, political commentator, who is the U.S. representative for Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District from 2013 to 2021. Gabbard was the first Samoan American and also the first Hindu to become a voting member of Congress. According to Gabbard.house.gov, she was a candidate for the Democratic nomination in the 2020 United States presidential election. She was also the vice chair of the Democratic Party. And then she blew up the internet in October of 2022 when she announced that she was leaving the Democratic Party to become an independent. And hello, Dad Man Walking. I'm committing the mortal sin of talking about politics, but I'm not going to talk about Trump or Biden. I'm going to talk about Tulsi Gabbard. I like her better, for good or ill. Hello, Matt Cheatwood. Thank you for being here. I hope you're taking good care of yourself, and I hope that the goats are taking good care of you. So exactly, why am I hopping up and down about Tulsi Gabbard? Well, honestly, I was going to let the whole thing go because I felt like I'd said enough. There, I'm going to shut off the soft prone music. It is good to have people listening to. Is it positive politics? Well, I hope so. That is my intent, at any rate. If I bash anybody in this particular post, it's going to be not politicians per se, but the people who misreport things and the people who take misreportings at face value and then accept that as facts. Oh my goodness, Matt Cheatwood, congratulations. You just got 4 piglets to go with his 4 goats. I'm going to tell you, I was talking with one of my other YouTube friends, and man, Matt, I thought that I could say that you were the best prepper that I know. There is exactly one person I know who's gotten you beat. I am impressed, but I'm not going to name names because they don't want to be outed to anybody. So, yesterday I released a short. I think I will share the screen. I won't play the short per se, but one, I thought it would be cute to see an image of Cassie. But I'm only going to share it for a bit because I'm not trying to out anybody. I'm just emotional enough that I like to respond to negative comments that are not very well informed when those negative comments pertain to me not being well informed. So I don't often get negative comments. That might be one of the reasons why I'm so touchy about them. But I also take it as a sign of progress, because I think Troy Pacelli has said that once you start getting the negative comments, once you start getting the negative engagement, that means that you're touching a nerve. Well, I heard last night that Tulsi Gabbard, or maybe it was 2 nights ago, however long ago it was, that Tulsi Gabbard had been put on a watch list by the TSA and is basically to be watched on airplanes as a potential terrorist. And hello, Horse 123. I don't know who you are, but I greet you. And we do indeed fight, not just for the proletariat, but especially for the proletariat, because they get crapped on more than enough. Everybody's saying hi to each other. Wonderful. I love it. I have people to listen to my weird diatribe. So I made a random short with Cassie, my overpaid assistant, who is a lovable Australian Shepherd half-breed dog. And I always claim her as my overpaid assistant and claim that she's the one that's finding the information, because honestly, she's just so cute. And somebody left a statement on my announcement that Tulsi Gabbard had been put on this list. Of course, you know more than anyone. Why, yes, I do. That's why it's my blog. I'm being sarcastic. Maybe you should actually study the evidence, because as everyone knows, I don't study the evidence. She is clearly owned by Russia. All I can say, if that's the case, Russia has good taste. Matt Cheatwood, I love that. Yes, we actually, more than classes are great, fine, all well and good, but what we really fight for is freedom. And I do not in any way, shape, or form mind the rich having it well. I do not mind them having freedom, but I want it for, if at all possible, for everybody, for as many people as possible. I realize that there's some situations of people who lose their freedom because of true due process, but more and more I believe that people are losing their freedoms without any due process. So, what am I looking at? Oh, okay. I'm going to share, because, I'm not studying the facts, I'm going to share and see if we can figure out what the facts are together as a community. Because we grow together. So I'm going to go back 2 years, and I'm going to, in my vague efforts to be centrist, I'm going to rely on a liberal source. I'm going to rely on a source that is at least hinting that it is true that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian agent. I have not watched this, which may not be wise, so this may completely disprove my point. That's okay. I don't mind being wrong. And we are past the 8-minute mark. You know what? I'm going to do something totally different. Hold on. So, just in case anyone is wondering why I hop up and down about her so much. Yes, there we go. Instead of sharing that screen, I will share this screen. And since we're at the 8-minute mark, now you will understand this is why, if she is a Russian agent, the Russians have good taste. And if she is an American patriot, then God bless America. See, I've learned from the opposition. Heads, I win. Tails, you lose. And Lady V Elements, long time no see. I am so glad to see you, and I hope that you are doing well. I know I am doing okay-ish. I would be better with something like that in my life, but I have interesting things in my life as it is, so I will not complain. So let's see what the Young Turks had to say from 2 years ago. Hopefully, they're not some of these people who will ding me for copyright and stuff, but I'll just play a minute or two because all I really feel like I need is a minute or two. But we'll see what the community thinks about why did a Russian agent. I did watch the first 2 minutes of this, so I can report for a fact that it is a fact that a Russian agent claimed to have donated to Tulsi Gabbard. That is a fact. Let's learn a little bit more about it.
So that an alleged Russian agent operating for political influence inside of the US, in the end, donated to only one campaign for president in the 2020 election, that is Tulsi Gabbard, with some interesting wrinkles that we're gonna get into. So this agent is a dual Russian-American national, Elena Branson. She stands accused of illegally pushing pro-Russian policies in the US for nearly a decade at the direction of top Kremlin officials without registering under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Like, you could do that, but you do have to actually register. Makes it a little bit easier to understand where you're coming from, which is why many have her work on behalf of the Russian government, including arranged meetings for herself and other Russian officials with US government officials and executives at businesses based in the US. Authorities say that she received funding and direction from the Russian government, including the country's embassy in Washington, and received tasks from high-level Russian government officials and government-run organizations. Now,
okay. So again, I'll try not to do your thinking for you, but I am going to interpret it in my own tired blogger vein. We have one Russian agent. We don't know how important this agent is. We don't know what access they have to anything. We don't know what secrets they've obtained or given out. But the story is that she donated money to the Tulsi Gabbard campaign. So I stand corrected. I am completely and 100% wrong. Tulsi Gabbard actually is a Russian agent. Let's listen to a little bit more and see what we can find out.
As we said, one donation in 2020, it was to Tulsi Gabbard, but
one donation from one vaguely, barely known agent. Let's see what happens.
With the potentially interesting and important caveat that it was for $60. And
read it and weep. Tulsi Gabbard sold us down the river for a $60 donation. I eat my words. I take back not just my last live stream, I take back my entire will to live. I don't deserve life that I could have made such a great mistake. $60 donation. What was I thinking? Lady V Elements, it's awesome. Saw y'all in while eating spaghetti. That is fantastic. Oh, I almost wish I was eating spaghetti. All right, but I will refrain from looking back at the picture of Tulsi Gabbard because otherwise I would have to be in my bunk and not here streaming.
Not even in one $60 lump. I mean, you can see there it comes across in two separate, $50 and $10. Why?
Yes, I have a new political plan. I'm learning from this mastermind spy, Tulsi Gabbard. I'm going to join the military. I'm going to become an MP. I'm going to endanger my life in Iraq. Then I'm going to come back. I'm going to run for the party that I love and choose, as she did. And then I'm going to sell the entire country down the river for $49.95 with a $10 tip. It's brilliant. Truly a mastermind of staggering proportions.
Yeah. What, like, if the goal is influence, based on my experience of donations, that doesn't buy you much directly. So
yeah.
So why?
I have a theory. So first, those are the facts. When we get into theories, of course, it's by definition a little bit of speculation, right? So we're always clear about that.
Okay. Gonna stop for just a little bit. I'm going to say, look at the chats. Matt Cheatwood, so many people don't seem to grasp that all career politicians are corrupt and owned by their donors. It's true. And I'm making fun of it and light of it, but I don't doubt that if I dig deep enough, I'm going to find myself disappointed with those, because that's just the way it is. Lady of the Elements puts Curtis's will to live in the Pandora's box. Don't open that box. You don't know what you're going to get. And Kaplaw to thee, Gorilla's Random Thoughts. It is so good to see you. I hope that this one is a little bit better, even though it's still the same topic. Lady of the Elements, they just want the tip. And Matt Cheatwood, did you ask Pandora for consent first? Good point. All right. I haven't listened to the rest of this. I'm going to wait for maybe 10 or 20 seconds and see if the community wants to listen to much more of it. If so, I will listen to most or all of it. If not, I will listen to 1 or 2 minutes, because I won't be able to see your comments until like then. And then probably call this, move on to the next piece of evidence. Matt Cheatwood says, hell no, we don't want to listen, or we don't ask Pandora for consent. Lady of the Element says, Pandora better pick a safe word next time. I didn't wait. I can safe words. You know, I'm not going to make a joke about it. I don't know if I'm clever enough right now to make one that's funny enough. So, the Young Turks.
Now, it's so curious why anybody reading the story has to think, why $49.95 and $10? What the hell? Like, that's not going to.
All right, I will compromise with Matt Cheatwood here. He doesn't want to listen to more of it. I am a little curious to know if they have anything substantive said. I'm going to skip to the most replayed portion. And if he's saying something that's worth listening to, we'll keep listening. And if he ain't, then we will move on to the next thing.
But even so, it wasn't a spectacular number. So then you have to wonder, and look, Tulsi now is pretty much given up the game. Like, before, there was a lot of subterfuge. There was, I'm a progressive, but God, if you're killing Muslims in Syria, I'm kind of here for it, right? And we were like, whoa, she likes the torture, she likes the drone bombs and the special forces and anything where you attack Muslims, she's totally in. So there was warning signs. We picked up on those warning signs. We were the first to tell you about that. Now she's at the point where she's just like, I can't believe what the Ukrainians are doing to poor Putin, right? So there's no subtlety left anymore.
I have no idea what he's talking about. He may actually have something. I don't know, but I'm with Matt Cheatwood. The whole subject is kind of ridiculous. So, but why am I still hopping up and down? Because as far as the Russian thing, yes, I totally agree. That's ridiculous, in my humble opinion. But there's still the subject. She's been put on a watch list. What's up with that? Is there some good reason that I don't know about? Because again, I've been challenged to find the facts. I hope that this is a source that not too many people hate. The Hill is one of the places that I've been going to more and more lately because, I don't really trust the bigger medias, but I want to hear some news from somebody. And so far, I've valued that the Hill often has a good, strong libertarian perspective, yet coupled with basically people from either the left or the right who will push back respectfully a little bit. I like that. Yes, the watch list is far more interesting than the Russian crap. Agreed. So at the risk of ignoring this person that had commented, I would much rather please Matt Cheatwood because, one, he's smarter, and two, he's actually part of my audience instead of just some troll who wanted to criticize my stream. He had a lot of other better reasons to criticize my stream. Not looking into the facts, that's a little bit weak. lot of other things he could have criticized that would have been legitimate. I guess I should share, huh? Share the screen and keep out the devil.
Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard was placed on a terror watch list and was surveilled by teams of government agents. Federal Air Marshal whistleblower told Uncover DC that Gabbard was placed in the Quiet Skies program on July 23rd. It's a sinister name. For context, Quiet Skies is a TSA surveillance program that targets passengers who are not included in any terrorist database. According to the TSA, Quiet Skies is, quote, another tool that allows the Federal Air Marshal Service to more efficiently deploy law enforcement resources to focus on travelers who may present an elevated risk to aviation security. Uncover said that on every flight Gabbard boards, there are now 2 explosive detection canine teams, 1 transportation security specialist, 1 plainclothes TSA supervisor, and 3 federal air marshals.
Gabbard reacted to Uncover DC's report on Fox News. Let's watch that.
Okay. So, Dadman Walking, got to head out. Yeah, I understand. I know you're busy too. Thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate it. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. I don't criticize people's streams because, like, mine aren't the best. No, I'm with you on that. I think yours are better than mine. But having said that, yeah, I've never found it very fun to throw out negative comments. Like today, I almost did. There was a man who was a sensei of mine from way back when I used to study Aikido. And, oh yeah, unicorns daddies later. He's pretty right wing, and he put out a right wing thing on Facebook, and it was similar to what I got here. Someone was saying, "Oh my gosh, you're not using the facts, this and that," and I almost got into the battle myself, but I don't like that. You know, I really don't want to get drug into, even though I'm doing that here, kind of, but I don't really want to get dragged into the whole, you know, my facts are better than your facts kind of thing. But something I noticed about the gentleman, well, the one who criticized me and the person who criticized my old sensei, they didn't present any facts of their own to debate. The best that the one who attacked my sensei could do was to put up this really cute cartoon, and it was a cute cartoon. You know, this site with all these many facts disproves your point. And then the right winger, of course, just fights back with memes and wins. And I really wanted to go on there. That's exactly what you just did. You didn't debate a single one of his facts with any fact at all. You threw out a funny meme. And what the heck? Sorry, I don't like hypocrisy. I never have, even though I probably exhibit some myself. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. My feelings don't care about your facts. Beautiful. The Gorilla's Random Thoughts. The antimatter version of Shapiro. I'm just teasing. Well, Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. Everybody, check him out. He's got wonderful movies, and he and I are live streaming this Saturday. I hope it's at 6 o'clock. I don't have that stream up right now because I'm using all my space for the post. Matt Cheatwood, when people can't even agree on what the facts are, not disagreement on what information is factual, but what is the definition of a fact? And I know, Lady V, I've kind of tried to steer clear of it, and yet here I am talking silliness. But you know, the people who don't care about politics but do throw glitter and take everyone's candy are the real backbone of society. And I know it sounds a little flippant, but I actually mean it. I love that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. No, not my candy, says Matt Cheatwood. And Lady V Elements, snatching the Milky Ways. It's like taking candy from a baby. All right, let's see what Tulsi Gabbard has to say.
The very next day after my conversation with you on the air, warning the American people about how dangerous a Kamala Harris presidency would be, I was placed on this domestic terror watch list, which is called the Quiet Skies list under the Department of Homeland Security. The clear pain and real visceral hurt that comes from this is, as you mentioned, like many Americans, I enlisted because of the terrorist attacks on 9/11 to go after the Islamist terrorists who attacked us on that day, and to now have my own government now turn around and put me on a domestic terror watch list. It hits to the core and is the ultimate sense of betrayal. But we look at why they are doing this. It has a chilling effect. It sends a warning both to me and to anyone else who even thinks about daring to criticize our own government, which is a guaranteed protected right under the First Amendment.
Yeah.
That we will be subject to a violation of our Fourth Amendment right to privacy through this kind of surveillance. And that's.
But as you all know, our rights are not given us from on high. They come to us from the government. Matt Cheatwood says, hands off my Snickers. And everybody's saying hi and laughing. You know what? I love this. This is one of the best audiences I've had in a while. But no, I almost, before I decided to hop on this subject, I almost talked about Britain. I know some things are going on over there that I am not very fond of. And if y'all decide that you'd rather listen to something about that, I'm willing to change gears. But essentially, I was, Mr. Londell can confirm this. I was talking to someone from Britain. I won't name names because I don't want to get them in trouble. And I asked, is it true you can be arrested in Britain for posting a social media thing that criticizes the government? And I mean, and she did not criticize the government. She, to be totally honest here, you could play that track. She didn't say a negative thing about her government at all. But she did confirm that you can, in fact, be arrested in Britain for posting a social media meme. To me, this is a complete disregarding of First Amendment rights. And it wouldn't so much bother me about Britain, except that's basically just one or two steps away from here. Lady V Elements is either making a joke or either making a joke that someone's committing treason or saying that violating First Amendment rights is treason. Either way, I'm sure you're right. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, let them come and try and arrest me, and we will party like it's 1776. Bow, 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 wow, wow. There is a clip during an interview claiming that over 3,000 British citizens were arrested in 1 year over things they posted on social media, says Matt Cheatwood. Lady V Elements is talking smack about your leader. My leader is treasonous, indeed. And Cassie, my overpaid assistant, you may hear her footsteps. She is coming up, going, why are you talking to that silly microphone and not giving me pets? And I don't know if anyone noticed, but I could not resist but change my avatar to Tulsi Gabbard in bikinis. It makes me so happy. So, Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies, there's video of police officials telling everyone that their social media is being monitored for violations of the law. Yes, and I know Deleted Scenes had shared a video. I thought about sharing it as well, but you can find it, or you can go to his channel and watch it. Where one of their chiefs of police is threatening to extradite Americans. And look, dude, I get maybe our government would comply. I don't know, but that's exactly what it would take for them to be able to enforce that. Because I'm going to guarantee we won the last one. Well, we won the first one anyway. So we probably win this one too. Matt Cheatwood, that is not how we define treason in the US of A. And Lady V Elements is going all over my doggo. I am too. I love my dog. Lady V Elements, USA is a bit scattered in many things. And I agree. Religion, law, morale, morals, whichever one you meant. Either way, you're right. And Mr. Lundell's groovy movies. I can talk, honest. Extradition for violating that law, it ain't going to happen. I mean, look, I know a lot of things are happening that I wouldn't think would happen. But having said that, surely, it's not gonna go. All right. You know what? I am going to, because I have to actually get it in actual YouTube in order to catch that link. And then I'm going to have to mute myself so that you don't get me. See, just like that. And let's go to this link and see what we have. I will stop sharing this one. Tulsi Gabbard. And arrested for a social media post. Oh, I guess I should
that they said on social media. In Russia last year, 400 people were arrested for things that they said on social media. 400 people in Russia. Obviously, this country is very different. How many people do you think were arrested in Britain for things they said on social media last year?
Go on.
Take a guess.
I have no idea.
3,300.
Really? Arrested for what they'd said on social media?
Yeah.
Really? What sort of things get you
Well,
arrested?
one example I give in my show is there was a young woman from Liverpool called Chelsea Russell. Her friend was killed in a car crash, 19-year-old woman. And she posted the lyrics of his favorite song on her Instagram, the lyrics. And it was a rap song, so the lyrics contained several instances of the N-word. Okay? She was arrested, prosecuted, found guilty, given 500 hours of community service and a fine, tagged, and for a year she was under 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. curfew.
My goodness.
In Britain.
In Britain.
In 2018.
Well, there you have that. And Mr. Lundell, you're probably right. The only hope for this stream is probably the Tulsi Gabbard in the bikini. But yeah, the British government, that's what they've been doing, is crying to the platforms. And basically the platforms just seem to cave. I mean, they caved on both Biden and Trump. I think Biden did worse, but both of them did it, basically censoring people on the platform. And I personally think that's BS, because the government shouldn't have any touch other than protecting children or something like that. You shouldn't have any touch on something like that. So, and yes, I know I'm hemming and hawing a bit. I'm trying to, that's not going to work. Okay, that's good. I don't know that. I don't know that. All right, let's go back to sharing what Tulsi has to say.
That's the biggest stress that's been caused by this entire situation, Laura, is now forever. I will always be looking over my shoulder, wondering if and how our government in any of these different agencies is surveilling me, watching me.
Gabbard also told Matt Taibbi of Racket News that she has encountered numerous obstacles when flying. With us now to discuss all of this terrifying news is Matt Taibbi himself, who wrote a terrific piece about Gabbard's ordeal and the Quiet Skies program. You can read that at Racket News. Matt, thank you so much for being back with us on Rising.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So this sounds like something straight out of Orwell. It's called Quiet Skies. Obviously, we've heard a little bit about it in the past, but this is the first, I think, high-profile person.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. The skies are clear. All right. And somebody else is commenting. Matt Chewood, I think social media platforms have every right to censor as long as they are liable for what they do allow on their platform. Currently, they are not. Yeah. And I feel like they have the right to censor, but I feel like the government should not be involved. again, unless it's to protect children or something, to actually stop terrorism. Lady V Elements, these people use social media as a form of cult-like behavior to organize and work others up. Well, there's definitely some truth to that, and there's examples of that. Now, I don't know about Tulsi herself, because I haven't caught that, but yeah, there are people who do that on all sides, frankly.
To be ensnared in it. Why don't you start by recapping what you heard from Tulsi herself about the really dramatic, and she is by no means the only victim of this program, but really obnoxious protocols put in place for her extensive travel.
Yeah, I think the first thing that people need to realize is that Quiet Skies is not, some kind of fantasy that's been cooked up at the edges of the internet or anything like that. The story, the existence of the program was disclosed 6 years ago in 2018. It came out in the Boston Globe. There was significant coverage of it back then. There were hearings in the Senate. Senator Ed Markey questioned the head of the TSA at the time, who admitted that thousands of Americans who were not even suspected of crimes were being followed under the program. There was a significant acceleration of the program after January 6th, when a number of people who were either in attendance inside the Capitol or just at the speech.
And thank you, DJ Ronnie G. He's entering a transit tunnel, but will be in and out to listen. Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate you.
That day were placed in the program. And the major issue with this Quiet Skies program is that it places significant amount of government resources and air marshal personnel to follow people, but they're not trying to develop cases. They are just conducting surveillance. So this is a major,
essentially they're just harassing them.
Problem with a lot of the stuff that happens in the war on terror programs. Because of that, they never have to justify, they never have to prove probable cause. And we don't know why, for instance, somebody like Tulsi Gabbard would be placed under surveillance, but we do know that the Quiet Skies is very excessive in terms of the number of people who are assigned to each selectee. That's what they call them. It's up to 3 marshals per flight. If you have 3 flights in a day, that will be 9 marshals. There can be as many as 15 people in an airport following a single person.
And let's remember, the only possible justification for that, whether you like Tulsi or not, only possible justification would be if she legitimately were a Russian asset. And I don't know that we've established that she isn't, but I think we've at least done a great job of ridiculing the pathetic amount of actual evidence I could find toward that. Matt Cheatwood has no desire to fly on a commercial aircraft. No, I flew here a while back on a trip that I won with my job, and it frankly just almost wasn't worth it. Hail and good evening, DJ Ronnie G. Lady V Elements. The public has been followed closely for far longer. They just didn't bring it to the open unless it's necessary. Nah, you're not wrong. Matt Cheatwood would rather drive. People are saying hi to each other, and Matt Cheatwood, the amount of money they are wasting in this program is infuriating. That, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it at least comes close to violating those Fourth Amendment rights, those rights for privacy. I would think that we would need warrants. I would think those warrants would need some probable cause, something more than a $60 donation from 2 years ago. And now DJ Ronnie G is entering a new tunnel. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. With the first link, the chain is forged. The first speech censored, the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied, chains us all irrevocably. I could be wrong, but I think you're quoting Jean-Luc Picard. Let me know in the chat if that's who you're actually quoting. Are you blue? Because she is not a Russian owned. that's my argument anyway. Whether you like her or don't like her, I do like her, but it's okay if you don't. But yeah, I got a text, I got a troll on my channel the other day saying that I did not know my facts, and she is in fact Russian owned. And I'm just kind of trying to establish that that's BS. Instead of the invasive security theater in airports, Matt Cheatwood says they should let people exercise their Second Amendment rights. And at the risk of really pissing off some of my friends, yeah, I would agree with that. Lady V Elements has started this program before they declared lead paint to be banned. Yeah, right on. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies is from the episode Drumhead. Nice. Nice. Oh, hey, I missed it. I caught the quote, but I didn't catch it. DD Lynn 53, thank you for coming in. Hello to you. I hope you enjoy at least some of what you hear, and I hope to make it worth your time. Yep. And Mr. Lundell just did. He named it Drumhead. Huzzah. Measure of a man. That's the measure of a man.
Plus, canine sniffing, bomb sniffing dogs, which Tulsi was aware of. So it's a remarkable program.
So Quiet Skies, according to the TSA's website, they say it's another tool that allows Federal Air Marshal Service to more efficiently deploy law enforcement resources to focus on
sounds efficient to me.
Travelers who may present an elevated risk to aviation security. Is it possible that Tulsi Gabbard has been rather the victim of threats than perceived as a threat herself?
It's possible. You know, when I reached out to the TSA, they sent me back a pro forma letter when I asked if she was even in the program. They essentially sent back a form letter saying, well, there are a variety of reasons a person can be matched to this program.
Like opposing us politically.
It can mean anything. Your presence in the program doesn't automatically designate derogatory information.
No, this isn't derogatory information. We just have arbitrary reasons to spy on you.
So we don't know exactly what it means. It could be somebody just sort of subjectively deciding that person is a threat and designating them a domestic terror threat. But it's, yeah, I think you know, from Tulsi's point of view, she sees it as threatening and certainly as harrowing.
And yeah, I love Matt Taibbi, and I hope you're understanding what I'm doing here. I'm not trying to poke at the actual classical liberals, like the ones that actually believe in, you know, social liberties and journalism and freedom. Those aren't the ones I'm criticizing. I'm criticizing the people on both the left and the right who think that our rights just don't matter, that the Constitution is just a piece of paper to wipe your butt with. Is really all it is. And Lady V, I didn't really acknowledge this, but lead paint stopping the viewing. Are you talking about some of the weird CIA studies that they used to do? I'm not really sure. Let me know in the chat. JPRPH1 listened to this earlier. I tried to, but man, I had a busy day. Yeah, no, exactly, Matt Cheatwood. True liberals, and again, I hope you're noticing that I at least think that the people that I'm using for sources, sometimes they may be conservative, but often they are classical liberals. And this is what I'm trying to talk about. These are the ones pointing out that a lot of this stuff is tyranny. The establishment isn't what it used to be. It's not just the Republican Party like it was 60 years ago. It's both parties doing this crap to us. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. So what did Colonel Gabbard do or say makes her a potential threat? I am glad that you asked. I'm glad that you asked that. Thank you. I love that you see it, Lady V Elements. You're so bright. So wonderful. JPRPH1, I was surprised, actually. So I'm going to listen to a little bit more of this, at least until y'all either get tired of it or something, but I do want to get to what Gabbard did or said that put her on that list. So
embarrassing. And I think possibly the program is designed to produce that effect in people. It's designed to make people feel that they're under surveillance.
Well, and she gets the quadruple S's on her boarding pass, which that stands for secondary security screening selection. And then she gets even more aggressive. And, you know, this just started happening to her since she got placed on the Quiet Skies thing. She gets aggressive pat downs. I've been complaining that the pat downs at Ronald Reagan Airport, DCA, and Washington have gotten.
Please riddle me this. Why the pat downs? I mean, Matt Cheatwood, progressives want to progress into slavery. I think there are some that do. Matt Cheatwood, I think Tulsi said it was an interview she did that got her on the list. Reminds Lady V Elements of the targeted individual stuff. This all goes way deeper. Yeah, I know. Or maybe I don't know, but at least I suspect from the things that I see.
Just absurdly violating of your personal space. But she's getting, you know, they're going over all of her luggage, what she says she travels light, thank goodness, but that they're going through all her, you know, personal items and everything. So if she's this is not a way that you treat someone who's.
Look, yes, I know I'm being a little bit creepy by using her photo, but I'm not going through her private things anyway.
Like a target of a safety or something. It's no, they're treating her like a threat. It's just, I mean, this is insane. This is completely insane. In addition to the civil liberties violations, the time and money this must be costing to run this kind of surveillance on people where they have a designated. I mean, for what reason? What do they expect? Isn't that what the ordinary TSA is for? To make sure no weapons supposedly are getting onto flights, but now there's an extra level of bureaucratic safety that costs a fortune, complete with dogs and all that. Well, what's the normal stuff for then?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And as Tulsi herself pointed out to me, if they really thought that she was an elevated threat for, something like a hijacking or a bombing of a plane, then why are they letting her on a plane at all?
Right.
That's a very strange question. You talked about the waste. There's actually an Inspector General report about Quiet Skies that was published in 2020, I believe, 2019 or 2020, that concluded that in the year they examined, the budget for the air marshals was $804 million. And
there's a answer to your unasked question, Matt Cheatwood.
They concluded that 394 million of that could have been, quote, better spent. So you're talking about an enormous sum of money that is being allocated to these missions where, yes, you have to have multiple marshals at every point of travel. And they even have to have people standing by for contingencies, like, if somebody's on a wait list for a flight, they have to get extra marshals for that. They follow people in and out of the plane. They go to see if they mark down if they're going to the bathroom, what they eat.
Oh my God.
What is all this for? I mean,
want to know what you think, want to know what you do. And they don't think you know, but we know that you do.
Why are they doing this? It's in keeping with this, again, it's in keeping with this new conception of what the federal enforcement mechanism does, which is it is strictly an intelligence gathering and surveillance operation very often. It's not going towards trying to prosecute somebody for a crime like terrorism or conspiracy.
Is this like a psychological experiment or something? This is like in Lost, the people in the Pearl hatch that have to just watch the other people in the hatch and fill as many notebooks until they go insane. That's what it sounds like. This is crazy.
I think it's important to note that, Tulsi Gabbard is someone that's been known for having ties with far-right leadership in India. She makes frequent commentary on foreign affairs. She says things that make me believe she would be a heightened target, and that could put other passengers at risk on the plane. But as Tulsi put it, It seems that she does not believe this was because she's, the victim of threats or she's someone that is a target. She said she's on the domestic terrorist list now. Does she have evidence of this? How did she find this out?
And this is going to be interesting, I'm sure.
So this is an important question. I think you're asking a good question, because the reason this came out at all is two air marshals came forward. They came forward to an Air Marshals Association that it's not a union, but it sort of represents the interests of air marshals and things like workers' comp complaints and whistleblower complaints. And there have been
HR
a lot about this program dating back to 2018. This is the original reason this program got disclosed, is because some air marshals were not happy with following Americans who were not suspecting with crimes, and they went to the Boston Globe initially. There was another whistleblower complaint that came out a couple of years ago when an agent in the TSA found out that his own wife was on the list, and
holy mother of crap,
protested, made a protected disclosure about that. Now we have two people who were involved in this mission, one of whom was actually conducting physical surveillance of Tulsi Gabbard, who reportedly came forward through this association and are negotiating now with who's going to represent them. Now, a number of people in this story have talked to those marshals, including, I believe, Tulsi herself. So there are two whistleblowers by multiple accounts. The question is, what exactly did they know, apart from the fact that there was a mission involving Tulsi Gabbard? We don't know that yet. We don't know why she would be on a list. We don't know why there would be surveillance there.
So we don't know why, but there are a couple of whistleblowers. Those are facts. Now, the whistleblowers may be full of crap, but we can't know that as a fact until we know more about the whistleblowers. I don't want to get too much further ahead without at least attempting to answer, what did Gabbard do that makes her a potential threat? Let's go to her last interview, if I'm smart enough to do it. When was her last interview? I'm sorry for all this silence. You would think, well, yeah, I don't mind giving this guy some stuff, but here, I'll start with this one. This was 7 days ago.
Who actually runs the government, in your experience?
Not who you think it is. It's and in many cases, especially recently, the troubling part about all this is it's not even people who we vote for. When you look at what happened when President Biden had that infamous debate with President Trump, it exposed the reality that many of us have known for a long time, which is that President Biden has not been the guy calling the shots. He has not been the guy making the decisions, nor has it been Kamala Harris, for that matter, nor will it be if she is elected president. It is this cabal of, the Democrat elite, the woke warmongers, made up of the likes of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and, Tony Blinken and Jake Sullivan and, people who are in the military.
Now, I want to point out a few things. Chris Williamson is a rapidly up and coming podcaster. My assessment of him is he's kind of a blend, something between Joe Rogan and Andrew Huberman. But he's more centrist, in my humble opinion, than Joe Rogan. But then again, I think Joe Rogan is a classical liberal, but he has been labeled as far right. And hail Sashi, the man from the future. And I also want to respond to Gorilla's random thoughts. Did Hillary get a hold of those whistleblowers? I would be curious to know that myself.
Industrial complex, people who profit from us being in a constant state of war. It is those in the administrative state, in the national security state, who derive more authorities and ability to take away our liberty when we are in a heightened state of crisis or war. It is their friends and billionaires and people in media who all derive their power from being able to have a figurehead that essentially they can control. And the most troubling part about, there's so many things wrong with this, of course, but really at the most fundamental level, you look at, our country is the oldest democracy in the world, but the reality of a truly functioning and thriving democracy.
She's not 100% right on that. I want to say the oldest one in the world is an Irish province, but anyway, she's close enough to right.
That has brought to life the vision that our founders had for us, that we really have a government of, by, and for the people, and that we have the ability and
we have a government of, by, and for the alphabet soup.
Responsibility, for that matter, to ensure that the government we have only exists with the consent of the governed. That becomes very hard to do, to hold people accountable when the person that you voted for is certainly not the one making the decisions.
How long has that been the case? Was it ever the case that the president ran the country? When was the inflection point?
I don't know that there's one specific. I mean, there has been, as personalities come in and shift here and there. I would say the answer to that has probably changed. But in the election that we are facing here very shortly in the United States, it's our opportunity to hit the reset button. And, however people feel about the choices and the options that we have, and they've changed a little bit recently, but really it's only the faces that have changed. The stakes have not changed. And the choices between the Democrat elite, and I've been saying this for months, like, hey guys, don't, because it's like, oh, is Biden going to stay or is he going to go? And who's they going to replace him? Is it Gavin? Is it all of these different theories? They make for good chatter, I guess, on cable news. But I've been telling people all along, don't be distracted. You take one horse out, you put another horse in, you've got the same people who are running the show. And it is between the Democrat elite, will be Kamala Harris on the ballot, and those calling the shots behind the scenes continuing to remain in power versus Donald Trump.
All right. So that was one of the latter interviews that she has given since just a little bit before it was announced that she had this thing. On the first clip I showed from Fox News, she said she was on the watch list on July 23, the day after their last interview. Okay. All right, let's see if I can find that interview. Fox interview. Harassed by the TSA. That was a month ago. That was a day ago. Sometimes I don't like the internet. What would a 723? This is, I bet this is it. Okay. let's see what she says on Fox here. Don't get me wrong, I'm no big fan of Fox either, but this is the one of the interviews that may have been part of the problem. Lemon Pie, hello, good evening. Thank you for being here. Good evening to you. And JPRPH1 never did chase it down. Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, let's see what this interview, if I'm smart enough to bring it up, says.
Now, when you think about all the foreign policy crises that are brewing around the world, China's new alliance with Russia, Iran, close to having a nuclear weapon, well, be comforted to know that Kamala could go from being one heartbeat away from the presidency to being our commander-in-chief. And her knowledge of Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union, well, after all, it's unparalleled.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to...
Now, Tulsi.
And I'm skipping ahead, not so much because I'm pro Kamala, I'm really not, but it's not the point. The point is, what did Tulsi say? And Lady V got a run, about to play some. Oh, okay, Fortnite, cool. It was good to catch up with you. Thank you for coming by, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. All right, let's see what Tulsi says.
I'm thinking tonight, you're Vladimir Putin, okay? You're over there and you got all your stuff going on, but you're watching this spectacle play out in the representative democracy of the United States of America, with Biden's people, just caught flat-footed on Sunday, and now that woman's on deck. What are you thinking?
I'm more interested, Laura, in what the American people are thinking. I've been seeing headline after headline saying, well, what is Kamala Harris's foreign policy going to be? And then you are reminded by these examples of how inexperienced and lacking of knowledge and strength that she is. So to answer that question, what kind of commander-in-chief will she be? What kind of foreign policy will she have? We simply need to look at the facts of what we've seen under the Biden-Harris administration. They are not running our foreign policy. Our foreign policy decisions are being made by unelected people in the military-industrial complex who are profiting from us being in a constant state of war, and the national security state that has more power.
And see, this is what I'm hopping up and down about. It's not about being anti-Biden. It's not about being anti-Kamala. It's about trying to get people to understand they're not the ones making these decisions. They're not actually the ones in power. And so being excited about Kamala is foolish, not because she's so bad, although I agree that she is, but it's because we have people making decisions who are not elected, and that's unconscionable. Darth Plato, what is this about? I'm hopping up and down about how Tulsi Gabbard, who was, if you don't already know, and you may, was a Democrat candidate for the president in 2020. She was vice chairman of the Democratic convention in 2016, and essentially in 2022 she declared that she could no longer stay in the Democrat Party, that there were just too many shady things going on that she didn't like. And since then she's kind of become the darling of the right wingers, and in the meanwhile people have been claiming that she is a Russian asset, and to my limited ability, I haven't been able to verify that there's anything more than a $60 donation from a Russian agent. $60. And yeah. So I'm basically trying to establish that there's shady stuff going on. Tulsi Gabbard's been put on a terror watch list, and that's what I'm hopping up and down about. Hopefully that's cool to you. If not, I understand that too. Yeah, the military, I honestly don't know who's calling the shots. I really don't. I don't doubt that some of the usual suspects are part of the decision-making process, but I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly. Oh, but Darth Plato has a great thought, and maybe can point to something. The decisions comes from the State Department, oligarchs, the National Security Council. Hey, frickin' men, that's what I suspect. The military was excluded as far back as 47. Yeah, okay, Darth Plato knows what they're talking about. It's less about the military-industrial complex. This isn't 1060. The civilian government sees the military as tech support. I'm not sure what you mean by 1060. Sorry. I'm revealing my ignorance. Sashi could use some Russian assets. How do I get on that? I've been asking that for a long time. Oh yeah, okay. It's 1960. Yeah, and I know Kennedy warned about or not Kennedy, but Eisenhower warned us about the military-industrial complex. There's basically something. I suspect CIA, FBI, TSA, MOUSE, Enigma Severus, how are you doing? Thanks for showing up. He says that none of this is new. We've known this. You remember we discussed that if the masses had the influence in the voting, the powers that would not allow the people to vote. I agree with that. Mr. Lundell's groovy movies, the Russian asset accusation was made by Hillary and Mitt Romney in an attempt to discredit her about a year ago. She sent them both legal papers threatening to sue. They ignored them. Yeah, well, they can. So on that note, I'm getting close to the time that I want to call it a stream. I'm trying to decide whether it would be better to talk to you about the so-called Steele dossier, which was where all this Russian asset nonsense really began, or if it would be better to instead share the Tulsi Gabbard and Kamala Harris debate from 2020, or if we should just end with how Weinstein, even though I promised never to do Weinstein again, I'm saying that I'm able to do that because it's not on his stream. It's on a Russell Brand stream about how he's saying that civilization is on the verge of collapse. Darth Plato, the military-industrial complex deals comes from the 50s, where the U.S. was faced with either surrendering the European and Asian world to the USSR or arm the countries that want to resist the USSR. Ike didn't want the U.S. to become a country of arms dealers. No, I know he didn't. Enigma Severus, the only real reason for the influx of Southern people are coming into our special land is so that it can be plausible for the world salad lady to win. Sashi, I've been telling people down here that it doesn't matter who you vote for. It's all the same. In order to get into power, they all sell their souls. And I'm sure you're right. As lovely as Tulsi Gabbard is, I'm sure you're probably right. They're not actually voting. They're just numbers. Yeah. Darth Plato, he had sought to encourage countries to become neutral like Austria. Yeah, I wish there was more neutrality, honestly. I wish more countries... I wish that there weren't so many entangling alliances. I know that I'm basically probably sound like an echo chamber of libertarians, but I think that a lot of the alliances that we've been in the past have basically served their purposes, and I don't know that they're very useful to anybody anymore. I know people on both the right and the left hate it when I say that. Since it's my stream and I can do what I want, unless somebody's got something, alliances per se aren't bad. No, they're not. I wonder about these monolithic things like the UN or the European Union. Like, if we're talking about 2 or 3 countries that are allied together, I think that's okay. But when you basically have the world set up for another world war because 30 to 50 nations are united against another 30 to 50 nations. It really gets scary to me anyway. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. How much can you get for your soul? Asking for a friend. I know I got 2 bits. Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. I'm rereading this. This contract doesn't say Satan. It says Stan. Never mind. Sorry about that. Darth Plato, that's harder to explain. You can't do it in text. I understand that. I'm not going to beat anybody up, except for that troll that I started hopping up and down about. I'm not going to beat up anybody for a text. The U.S. is supposed to be 50 countries allied. That's not wrong. Okay, so at the risk of alienating some of my liberal friends, Enigma Sever, selling the soul in this world does not get you anything that lasts. It does not. And Sashi says, Gorilla's Random Thoughts, depends on where you're from. We Asians get it done for much cheaper as usual. Yeah, see, Asian efficiency. That's what it's all about. So one of the reasons why I've started going in the direction I'm going in my channel is I started noticing, again, I hope you're understanding, I'm absolutely okay with classical liberals. Tulsi Gabbard, I know they keep saying she's a right winger, and I get some of what they're saying, but really she's a classical liberal. I mean, she backed Bernie Sanders when she quit running for president. It doesn't hardly get further left than that. Matt Taibbi, classical liberal. Russell Brand, classical liberal. Weinstein, classical liberal. I'm not trying to foist like Rush Limbaugh's on you, or Michael Savage's, or Alex Jones's. I'm trying to get sense from the left telling you that this is a pile of steaming horse shit. So, Darth Plato, Bernie is Castro, the Eve of 59 revolution. Okay, so I was afraid you might, because I don't really know where you stand politically, and I really am still trying to be a little bit centrist. But Tulsi Gabbard ran for president in 2020. She had ceased to be the Democrats' darling 4 years before, because, well, actually not really 4 years before, but she'd ceased to be their darling because she criticized Hillary Clinton. But she ran in 2020. She still had another 2 years of being a Democrat ahead of her. And I know I'm taking a long time to get to my point, but I have liberal friends. Don't care that I have liberal friends. That's great. But what scares me is when what's coming out of your mouth sounds like it was scripted from CNN or scripted from the Democrat platform, or, words like, forgive me, but when you literally tell me that Biden has a brilliant foreign policy, not exaggerating, these are the words from my friend's mouth, has a brilliant border policy, has a brilliant financial and foreign policy, that he's the sharpest that he's ever been, that he's an honorable man, which may be unfair, but I feel it isn't. When I look at the past that he's had, I don't really think it measures up. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies, they've hit the Elon Musk, Donald Trump with massive DDoS attacks. Yeah, I figured they would. I thought about talking a little bit about that too. If anyone knows, Elon Musk and Donald Trump are going to be interviewing on X. I will not be listening. I'll probably hit the replay because I'm going to be at Troy Pacelli's double feature tonight at 8 o'clock in the chat, not in the panel. Vote Harris. Yeah. Okay. So okay. I got to finish my story here. So they were really excited about Biden. He did not have dementia. We were a bunch of idiots. We were a bunch of conspiracy theorists. We were as mad as hatters. But as far as Kamala Harris, well, she's kind of silly and kind of lame, but she's on the ticket. That's okay. And then, like, as soon as Biden steps down, all of a sudden it's the party line for her. And instead of, well, you know, I kind of wish we had a better vice president, the same words for her. And it really scares the shit out of me, because these are people, I don't want to brag, I have a moderately decent IQ. I'm not going to tell you what it is here because the chronic fatigue literally backs it down by about 30 or 40 or 50 points. But so I can't really present it as a thing. But where I'm going with this is, I have a moderately high IQ, but I have people who are friends who are just a few points shy of genius, and they're saying this bullshit. There's no critical thinking. There's no, you know, what the hell? I mean, we voted for Biden. Why is it that we're not going to have the chance to vote for Biden? Why is there no upset that your vote was basically taken away from you? But we don't seem to care. DJ Ronnie G, the Russian stuff is obvious BS. If someone from Australia donates money to me, does that mean I'm spying for the Queensland? Well, you just made my point. Of course it does. And I know you probably didn't hear it, but the closest to proof I could find, and I'll grant, it was, you know, it's not like I'm a big, deep journalist, but there was an agent. And when they said agent, they really didn't establish what that meant. There was a Russian agent who donated $60 to Tulsi Gabbard's presidential campaign. That's the proof. That's what it stands on. Darth Plato, the DA of San Francisco, anything in San Francisco is toxic, agreed. Sashi, we are the left. Your culture and thoughts will be assimilated. Resistance is futile. Okay. I promised to play this, so I will. I'm going to be playing Tulsi Gabbard versus Kamala Harris. You've heard a little bit from Tulsi already, so just compare the two, and remember, the left, or not the left, the whatever the hell's running the government chose Kamala. They had the opportunity to choose Tulsi. Think about that. Frankly, they could have chosen Tulsi instead of Biden, but I kind of get not choosing her instead of Biden, but it could have been Tulsi as vice president. And think about whether we should be excited about the way that the uniparty is running things.
You have also been quite critical of Vice President Biden's policies on race, specifically on the issue of busing.
And I'm not going to beat her up too much for being against Biden policies, because this is, after all, politics. This is how the game is played. Not meaning to be cynical, but every freaking buddy and their dog is against everybody's policies until, oh, I'm on the ticket. And now they agree like best friends.
In the 1970s, having benefited from busing when you were a young child. Vice President Biden says that your current position on busing, you're opposed to federally mandated busing, that position is the same as his position. Is he right?
That is simply false. And let's be very clear about this. When Vice President Biden was in the United States Senate working with segregationists to oppose busing, which was the vehicle by which we would integrate America's public schools, had I been in the United States Senate at that time, I would have been completely on the other side of the aisle. And let's be clear about this. Had those segregationists their way, I would not be a member of the United States Senate. Cory Booker would not be a member of the United States Senate. And Barack Obama would not have been in a position to nominate him to the title he now holds.
And frankly, they're not necessarily bad points. But again, I don't want to rip her for changing her tune. She's just doing what a politician has to do. You've got to tear your opponent down until you're on the same ticket.
And so on that issue, we could not be more apart, which is that the vice president has still failed to acknowledge that it was wrong to take the position that he took at that time. Now, I would like to also talk about this conversation about Eric Garner, because I too met with his mother. And one of the things that we've got to be clear about is that this president of the United States, Donald Trump, while he has been in office, has quietly been allowing the United States Department of Justice to shut down consent decrees, to stop pattern and practice investigations. On that case, we also know that the Civil Rights Division, this is important, the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice said charges should have been filed.
Side note, where's her vindictiveness? Where's her rancor about Tulsi Gabbard's civil rights being violated? I'm just putting that out there.
But this United States Department of Justice usurped, and I believe it is because that president did not want those charges to go forward, and they overrode a decision by the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice. Under my administration, the Civil Rights Division will reign, and there will be independent investigations.
Vice President Biden, I want to give you a chance to respond to what Senator Harris just said.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were two of the most
I promise I'm getting to the Tulsi Gabbard part. I'll skip ahead if this is too boring.
segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also is in a situation where she had a police department.
And Mr. Londell, I'm so tempted to say something that is just totally unfair, but not to you, because I absolutely respect what you're saying there. But no, I do agree that she's going to try something like that. And I would suggest it is possible she already has, or maybe not her, the people who are calling the shots.
When she was there, that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people.
Passed when you were in the
Skipping
United
ahead.
States Senate for decades. It was the work of creating one of the first in the nation initiatives around re-entering former offenders and getting them jobs and counseling.
Senator.
I did the work as Attorney General of putting body cameras on special agents in the state of California, and I'm proud of that work.
I want to bring in Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard,
And I do too.
you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California.
Ouch. Truth hurts.
And she fought to keep
Thank you,
cash bail
Congresswoman.
system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response?
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly.
And maybe I should be searching more into facts. Maybe I'm wrong about Kamala Harris's record, but at least what I have found backs up more what Tulsi says than what Kamala says. Feel free to correct me if you've got some evidence that I haven't seen. I'm willing to look at it. Take a shot. Oh, crap. Did YouTube censor you? I hate that. I promise you. I have never censored anybody. I have avoided some people on my channel, but I have never censored anybody. Enigma Severus, she reformed it by finding ways to keep cheap labor in the hands of law enforcement. I would humbly agree as far as I
in
know.
need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It
Thank
is
you.
why, and because I know that criminal justice
Thank
system
you,
is
Senator.
so broken, that I am an advocate for what
Thank
we
you,
need
Senator.
to do to
Your-
not
your
only
time is up.
decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. You're responsible.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator.
Is that, I mean, again, we're trying to get at facts. Does anyone know something that contradicts that? I'm very interested to know. But please back it up with facts and not just Kamala is wonderful.
Senator Harris.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion.
Yeah, which of these two was literally under fire in their career?
On a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do? When I was in the position of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty on cases I prosecuted, I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty. History shows that, and I am proud of those decisions.
Senator Harris, thank you very much. Senator Bennett, a question for you. Why are you the best candidate to heal the racial divide that exists in this country today, which has been stoked?
Don't care about Don Lemon or this other guy. So there you have it. Possible reasons why Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset and a terror threat. Enigma Severus, her entire career, I plead the fifth. Guerrillas Random Thoughts. Hey, they needed firefighters for their unmanaged forests. Yeah. Matt Cheatwood cannot defend Harris. DJ Ronnie G. That's why she's on that plane list. And Matt Cheatwood, as far as I'm concerned, Tulsi spoke the pure truth. And again, I get that maybe I'm a little bit guilty of forming an echo chamber here, but I respectfully submit that it is bullshit that she's a Russian asset, that it's bullshit that she's a threat to anyone who doesn't try to harm her, as is true of pretty much everyone here in the chat. DJ Ronnie G, it's all lies, Russian lies. And if I had a little more time, I would go into that. I wish I could, but I want to give you all time to go see the double feature of Troy Pacelli. Enigma gets the award for comment of the day. I'm just gonna plead the fifth. I hope Enigma knows how I really do feel about things, but I'm going to try to be vaguely centrist here for what it's worth, and just say nothing about it whatsoever. I know I'm a lame person sometimes. So, hell to the yeah. I don't know who I would give the comment of the day to. There were so many good comments today. It's like quality people in here. And maybe not everybody necessarily may have agreed with my assessments, and that's okay. But when somebody accuses me of not having facts, all I'm asking for is, fine, prove me wrong, but use facts. Don't just throw out an ad hominem attack, which nobody in this chat did. I'm going to call it a stream, but let me first. I'm going to get Troy Pacelli's thing in here. Actually, it'd probably be quicker to find it this way. Eventually, I figure things out. Not very quickly, but here it is. He's going to be watching Inception and What Dreams May Come. I don't know if I'm going to make it through both of them, but I kind of hope I do. And all of you, I'm sure, are welcome over there. Be warned, though, he's more right-wing than I am. Not by a hell of a lot, but a little bit. So, let's get the soft prone going. Oh, no, that's the deleted scenes music. There we go. There we go. I'm going to stop sharing mainly because I just want to take one last look at... Like I say, if she's a Russian asset, the Russians have good taste. That's all I'm going to say about it. And I hope if she ever listens to this, she knows I actually do respect the hell out of her, and I'm kind of dating someone anyway. So, because I would have a chance. You all know that, right? Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for showing up, JPRPH1. Thank you. This guy's a jerk. He owes me money, like lots of it. Connie Cleary, the faithful bird woman of YouTube, the wrench of many talents and channels. Matt Cheatwood, one of the best preppers I know, but not quite the best. Not trying to rub it in, but I know exactly and only one, maybe two that are better. Or as good, anyway. Hello, Dad Man Walking. Thank you for showing up. I love that you came in and listened to my political harangue. Who else was here? Horse 1, 2, 3. A horse is a horse, of course. And we fight for the proletariat, but we also really mainly fight for freedom. Ladyville Elements, it was so good to see you. I'm glad to see you come into the community. I know that we don't always agree on politics, so please understand, I don't want that to scare you away or make you think that you can't disagree or say something on the opposite side. And I know you will, but all I ask is that we be respectful to each other. Who else? Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Kapla! Man, I tell you, that stogie he's smoking, I don't even smoke, but look at someone smoking a cigar, and I just think that would be really cool to be smoking that right now. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. You know what? I also need to do this. I know we're getting close to the time, but he and I are doing a stream, and I keep doing a terrible job of promoting it. He and I are doing a stream. We're doing a watch of the classic movie Metropolis. I'm gonna drop that link in the chat. And I hope as many of you as can come by. It will be, what time is that? 6 o'clock, August 17, exactly a week before my birthday, which I will probably celebrate by going live and torturing people with more pictures of Tulsi Gabbard. But here's the link to that stream. It would be great to see as many of you as can come by, even if it's just for a few minutes. And we can talk about the dystopia that we live in. Enigma Severus, thank you for showing up. And yes, you probably already guessed it, but you are the prepper that I think at least gives Matt Cheatwood some good competition. But I'll let you two wrestle that out. I think I've said hi to everybody. Thank you very much. In 16 minutes, Troy Pacelli has his double feature, and hopefully I see many, if not all of you there. Oh my God, I did forget someone. Darth Plato, I'm so sorry. Thank you. You also contributed a lot of substance to this conversation, and I thank you for showing up and making so many thoughtful and intelligent comments. And gosh, I'm missing people left and right. Sashi, thank you. I mean, you're on the other side of the freaking planet, and you show up. You are an amazing person, Shashi. I don't know what is true in some cases, but if anyway, I won't even say it. But I think you're a spiffy person. I'll leave it at that. And so, just let it be known, you are not crazy. You are going sane in a world that's gone crazy. I love everyone that showed up today, and I hope that you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much. Take